Hey, everybody, it's Jilla, and welcome to the G You Are You podcast series. This is a podcast and a channel, if you're unfamiliar, all about giving you tips and giving you the knowledge and empowering you to be able to be the artist and be the singer, be the person, giving you the tools to do the things that you need to do to become who you want to be. So I want to talk about the performance. Sometimes I watch student performances and I often get asked for feedback and response on the performances after that. So what I thought I would do today is do exactly that. The title of this episode is Stand in Your Power and Sing. I think so many young singers, we struggle. I think a lot of us struggle historically and throughout life. I know I have dealt with the feeling of I'm just not enough. I've always got to do more. I've always got to do better. And I've had this feeling of this voice in my head that just keeps talking negatively to me. And it's not helpful. It's really not helpful. Knowing what the accurate assessment of your situation is, a realistic look, and radically looking at that and accepting where you are is powerful. But knowing that you have power is equally as important. And I think when young singers go up on the stage and they take the stage, they don't think about how powerful just the physicality of what you're doing is. Singing is a whole body thing, right? And so you have to take that energy and that power with you to the stage. So I'm going to give you a lot of things, hopefully, to think about today, and things that I saw last night at the performance and things that I see all the time with young performers. The first thing I want to address is, what is your intention? What is your purpose? What is your objective for your performance? I'm not sure that young people have a direction when they're walking on stage. They're just going up to, sometimes I think it's going up to hopefully just get through the song. Nerves take over. But what if you had an intention? What if you had goals for your performance? What if your goals for your performance were for you to learn something? What if they were to grow and to develop your skills? What if your goal was to entertain your audience? How does that change the set that you build when you're walking up and when you're developing this show and this performance that you're going to do? What if your intention and your purpose for yourself, again, was just to expand your skills, to advance your career? Maybe you're doing gigs out in the public and you want to build fans. Maybe that is, so what do you, if you approach your performance with that in mind, I'm here because I want to build fans, and that means they have to have a good experience and a good time. How do I do that? That is a different performance than if you go up there thinking, God, I hope I hit that note, right? Does that make sense? What if you go up and say, this is my time that I get to learn to become who I want to be, my unique artist. It's my chance that I get to start building myself and my career. And you notice I'm using the word get to and not have to. Language is really, really important, and I'm going to go through a lot of words today because I think the words that we say to ourselves and the words that we carry with us are so important, and they can help you or they can paralyze you. And it's hard enough to get up there on stage anyway. Just getting up there is a feat in itself, and doing what we need to do as singers and entertainers adds a whole nother level to that. So I really think you need to be careful of the words that you're saying. What are you taking on the stage with? And the first thing I say is, what is your intention for your performance? If you go to the stage with that, it becomes a different experience for you and a different experience for your audience. Okay, the second point that I want to make is you are more than just a pair of vocal cords. Your vocal cords are not doing the singing. Your whole body is your instrument. And if you don't have energy and purpose and drive and passion in your whole body, your poor little vocal cords, if you've never seen them, go look them up. They're very small. You're putting all of your hopes and dreams on these little muscles in your body when you could be helping with every single fiber of your being. So things like keeping energy through your whole body. If you do an arm motion, is it just your arm you're throwing out there, or is your face involved? Is your stance involved? Are your legs just sort of almost supporting you, or are they strong underneath you and they're really supporting you? This is a whole body experience, singing. It's not just, okay, I need to put my hand up now. This has to come from the ground up, and feeling that support and knowing that you are supported by everything underneath you and around you will help you build a much stronger persona up there, right? So you have to do things like walk with purpose, or a kid my students, walk with porpoise, right? I don't know, it's funny to me, but walk with purpose. If you're meandering or you're nervously walking up there, you have to walk, again, I'm going to bring this word up a lot, intention. Is your intention to cross the stage and then stand over there and sing? Or are you just moving because you're nervous, right? I'd like you to think into the space above you and think into the spaces around you and behind you. I'd like you to stand into those spaces and look in the mirror. You know, I think sometimes really as we grow, we sort of feel like we're the smaller version of ourselves as we grow physically, but also as we grow emotionally and personally. I think sometimes we still think of ourselves as the person that we were 5 years ago or 10 years ago, or we don't look at the growth, and so we don't breathe into and we don't stand into the person that we are now. Again, you know, using the powerful area and space that you occupy, using that power that you have now as opposed to the person that you were 5 years ago. Right? Bring that with you. Stand taller, breathe bigger. Look at yourself in the mirror. The mirror is your friend, by the way. If you're not practicing in front of a mirror, singers, really, it's a really helpful tool. Look at yourself and say, could I breathe wider? Could I breathe past my shoulders? And actually take your hand and walk your fingers across your clavicles. And there's my end of my shoulder, I think. And do it on the other side. There's the end of that shoulder, I think. What if I could breathe and I could stand broader than what I think I am? What if I could stand taller? How would that affect what you're doing on stage? There's an old saying that says, command the stage, or sometimes I've heard demand the stage. Claim it, own it. Here are some other words. What if you went up and you were assertive? Not aggressive, and some artists are aggressive on stage, but what if you were just assertive? And even if you're not assertive in your real life, what if you could fake it till you make it? What if you could walk up there and start practicing being assertive on stage? I think being decisive and being determined and being definitive with your movements and your gestures and what you know you're going to do up there, what you know you're going to say up there, that all leads to looking like you are self-assured, which I think leads to actually being self-assured and self-confident. Be certain, be positive. So many times I think young singers go up on the stage and they have negative thoughts. They're carrying all of these negative thoughts. What if I screw up? What if I'm not enough? What if they don't like me? What if, they talk bad about me? You carry those things with you and they're just not helpful. They're just not helpful. And not everybody's going to like everyone. You can't be liked and enjoyed performance-wise by everybody. Some music is just not somebody's cup of tea. Some people really like quiet, chill music, and some people like really loud and raucous music, right? Singers are different. You cannot please everyone. And the sooner you understand that and you start just living and believing in who you are and standing in who you are, not trying to please everybody else, not trying to be somebody else, the quicker you're going to be able to claim that space on that stage that is yours. So be positive about that. Be sure about that. Okay? The next thing that goes along with all of this is you have to bring this presence with you from the moment you break the wings to the moment you are off the stage. There is no downtime on stage like, whew, I've sung my song. Now I can relax and just slump. No, you are still on stage. From the moment people can see you to the moment you walk off, you have to maintain that self-assuredness, that decisiveness. You have to maintain that certainty up there on the stage until you are completely out of the view of the public. As a matter of fact, I often think that it extends before and after that, because if you are a touring artist, you may have to do meet and greets before or after. So this persona, if you will, and if you want to think about it like that, like put on a persona, like you have a stage persona and then you have who you are. Put that on and wear it like armor until all of the people have gone and you are safely back in your dressing room or the green room or your car or at home, because you're always building fans. And wouldn't it be weird if, you just did this great performance where you were learning to do all these things and you just came off and you were just slumpy and just, thanks. I don't know if I did well. And was it okay? And, I don't like, it just would be, people wouldn't know what to think. And again, if you're trying to build fans, you want to keep a consistent brand going. So whoever you are developing on stage, you also have to keep that going until you are completely out of the public's eye. I think you can practice all of this stuff. I tell my students all the time, I think you should watch performance videos every week. Right? Watch a performance video and see what they do with their body. How do they stand? How do they walk? How do they move? How do they gesture? What are their facial expressions like? And then you have to practice that. Like that has to be, I call it performance practice. And it has to be a piece of what young singers are doing. Standing in the mirror, trying those things. And yeah, they're going to feel weird. Yeah, they're going to feel odd and not like you. But that's the point, right? Is to go beyond your comfort level. One of my favorite people on the planet says all the time, if you are not uncomfortable, you're not learning. Right? You have to push yourself beyond your boundaries, beyond your comfort zone to grow and to learn. So yeah, there's a little bit of uncomfortableness to doing this. Of course there is, but do it in the privacy of your own room where if you feel foolish, well, good first. And second, no one else is going to see you. Use a mirror. If you don't have a really big space or a really big mirror, set up a video camera and watch and, be willing to try, be willing to be curious, be willing to explore. Another exercise I do with my students is I call it body painting. I want you to pretend that you have a giant floor-to-ceiling, wall-to-wall canvas like that you would paint on and sing the song, but your body is the paintbrush, right? Use your head, use your shoulders, use your elbows, use your knees, use your feet, use your hips. Paint the picture of the song. So if the line goes up, if the notes go up or the intensity goes up, Maybe the brush stroke with your body, the paint stroke, maybe that goes up. Maybe there are circles, maybe there is dots, maybe you punch the thing. The point is to embody your singing, is to get your body involved and moving so that movement doesn't feel so foreign to you. Again, you have to practice things. They're all going to feel weird at the start, but it's kind of fun. I often in the morning just put on music and I just move. I don't dance. I mean, I used to be a dancer, but my body doesn't move like that anymore, but I can just move to the music and sometimes I sing with it and sometimes I just move, but getting that movement in your body and so that you're used to moving and singing will help all of this feel more normal to you. Okay, another thing, I think I'm on tip number 4, is if something goes wrong on stage, like we've all heard, right? Don't telegraph it when you're singing. But sometimes things go wrong. Somebody doesn't hand you a guitar, or they hand you the wrong guitar, or where I see it a lot is monitors, right? Singers can't hear, so they ask for a monitor increase. And once, maybe twice if you have to, and a very subtle movement. Like you don't want to look at the audience and go, but I need more. You're going to get what you get up there. Hopefully you have good people that are running the stage for you and they will be attentive and alert. But if they don't, you got to go on. Maybe say it once, maybe say it twice, and then just go on the best you can, because you're not going to look good on the stage if you look like, what, I just can't, like, what am I going to do? Like, that's the attitude that comes across. Sorry. And I may not be good at that. I try not to do that very often, but that is kind of the attitude that comes across, is just that, sort of entitled, and it doesn't transfer well to your audience. So really try to watch that kind of stuff. I know it's annoying, but that's also life. We don't always get the right stuff. We don't always get what we want. Things change. And you have to be, I say this a lot too, you have to be adaptable up there. You have to be willing to change and willing to deal with situations. Sometimes the band will start the song too fast. Sometimes they'll start it too slow. Sometimes I've had band members start songs for me in the wrong key. There's little you can do up there. And if you let it affect your performance, then it affects the audience's experience. And that's what we're trying to do, is give them a really great time. However long they're with us and however long you're on the stage and they're seeing you, your job is to entertain them and give them the best experience that you can. Okay, tip number 5, and this is all young singers across the board. Almost all of you do this, and it's something that we all have to work on. The talking, right? I call them the transitions. They are terrifying, I know. Practicing them is going to help, but you really have to speak clearly. You have to slow it down, and your voice has to have energy, right? You are the cruise director. You have to lead the energy in the room. You have to be above the energy of the whole audience. If I just kind of sat here and talked to you like this and said, yeah, well, you have to have energy, and you have to like smile, and you have to, it would just sound like I am tired and maybe like I don't care. And if I mumbled on top of that, you wouldn't understand me. So putting some energy in your body, in your voice, that's another thing, right? Like you can't have the energy in the song. I'm dancing, I'm singing, I'm having a great time. And then your transition comes up. Then it's like, well, okay, I'm going to do this song because I really love it. And it's just like, I don't know, I'm just blah, blah, blah. And then you go back to singing. It's a really strange, odd thing that it's not cohesive, and the audience doesn't understand it. Plus they miss your stories. And that is the time for you to audience build, like fan base build, so they get to know you. But if they can't understand you, they're going to sort of tune out. And if you've been on stage, you know sometimes it's really hard to keep an audience's attention. This leads me to point number 6, I think. Background singers, your job is to support the main artist, which means sort of you take your energy and your cue and your movement ideas from them. You don't want to overshadow or steal the attention or pull the attention away from the lead singer, but you also can pull it away from the lead singer if you are just standing back there not really looking like you're into it. If you're looking like you're not having fun, if you're looking like you're not engaged, if you're looking like you're trying to remember the part, all of those things are also distracting because the lead singer may be up front where they should be on the stage. We're going to talk about stage zones and audience zones in a minute. They're up there doing their best to have energy. And if you're not following the lead of that lead person, you're distracting from the show. So being a background singer is a really important job. And keep in mind always that it is your job to support what the artist is doing. So take your cues from the artist as well. Okay. I just said it, audience zones and stage zones. Tip number 7. Remember your audience zones. Divide your audience up into, left and right quadrants, middle quadrant. But what I see often from young singers is that when they do start this, their reach goes about to the 3rd row on any side. You really have to also look up. And you have to look out and you have to include, this is what we're trying to do, right? Is include your audience. So you have to know your stuff so well that you can really be in conversation with your audience. Everything is a communication. Everything is a conversation. You are in conversation when you're singing with your audience. So looking out past the 3rd row, making sure that you're looking at it as though, well, here's half of the front section, but I'm going to look out and I'm going to reach back to that back half of the audience. And if you have a balcony, remembering that you also need to look up and reach your balcony as well, making sure you have all of the zones covered. And if you're singing a duet, this is a great way to learn to block, is saying, well, okay, I'm going to be over here with this side of the audience. Then you go over there with that side, then we're going to change and we're going to look at each other, then we're going to look out and we're going to, making sure that can help your blocking, right? Making sure everything is covered. Also remember that there are I try to divide the stage up into thirds on the stage. There's, downstage, which is right by the people. There's sort of that middle third, and then there's that back third that usually the musicians are in, or your curtain, or way too often young singers don't use the full depth of the stage. They will hang out in that middle third to back third, and it comes across like looking like you are afraid of the audience. And especially if it is your lead. If you're doing a duet, step out when you're singing. Step back when the other person is singing, but don't sing your lead parts from that middle or back third unless it's part of your blocking and it's an intentional, there's that word again, it's intentional use of that space before you move up. Like that's a strong move, right? If you use that back or middle third, and then you have a really big part in the song where you're walking with intention and purpose and you're driving towards the front of the stage, that can be powerful. But if you're just hanging out there, it looks like you are afraid of coming forward. So again, use your mirror, use your video strategy, use your performance practice where you watch other singers and you're like, well, where do they go on the stage? And also when you're watching those videos, watch for what they do when they're not singing, because again, you're always up there. So it's equally as important to learn how to stand and groove and be on stage and be engaged when you're not singing. And that is what's really hard, I think, about being a background singer. You have to learn to do that even when you're not singing. Because again, if you're only engaged when you're singing, it's like, I'm singing, I'm on, I'm not. I'm just standing here. I'm waiting for my next part to come on, and then I'm not. It's very confusing for your audience, and it doesn't come across, like I said, in the way that you're trying to incorporate them for the whole performance. And like I said, if you lose them, you know how hard it is to get them back. So I kind of want to close this podcast with sort of where we began, right? The journey of 1,000 steps begins with 1,000 miles begins with one single step, right? If you are a young artist, you are learning to stand in your skin. You are learning to stand in that power. You're discovering that power. Some of you may not even know you have that power yet, but this is what the discovery and the journey is all about. Learning that it's a trajectory, it's a direction. You are on your way to something. That is why you're studying. That is why you're doing the things that you're doing. So don't get frustrated with yourself. Watch the language that you're using, all of those negative words, that mean girl in your head. You have to remember all the good things that you are doing. If you are studying and you're doing these things, look where you were 6 months ago. Take a look back at that person that singer that was singing 6 months ago or a year ago or 2 years ago. You are on a path of self-discovery, and that takes courage, and I applaud you for doing it. That is amazing. So try not to get frustrated with yourself. And I want to leave with some adjectives because, again, what you're saying to yourself as you're entering the stage, like having some intention. What is this set? What am I trying to do here? But what are you saying about yourself as well? What adjectives are you taking with you in your head when you walk onto that stage? Are you saying to yourself that you're capable, you're resourceful, you're adaptable? I mean, if things go wrong up there, you can just change and go on. You can do this because you've done it before. And if you don't do it so well, that's what you're learning. That's what you're here to learn how to do. You're prepared. You're rehearsed. You've done your job before the show and you have rehearsed. Take that with you. I have done a good job of rehearsing this and I am ready. I'm excited to get this opportunity to perform because not everybody does. A lot of people want to do this, but they don't know how. So be excited that you get this. Be open-minded, right? It may not go exactly the way you think it will, but there are going to be lots of great moments on that stage that you also couldn't have anticipated, right? So be open-minded about the things that happen up there. Passionate. Are you passionate about what you get to do? I think one of the coolest things that entertainment does for people is it sort of suspends reality for a minute. When you're singing up there, you are creating joy and happiness, or you're bringing people back in touch with memories that are really important to them. You are serving humanity by this gift that you've been given, and you get the opportunity to do that. I personally think that that's really, really a wonderful thing to be able to get to do, right? Are you curious when you walk up on stage? Like, what will I experience? What am I going to learn? Are you determined? Every time you step on stage, are you determined to do your best? Are you determined to learn something? Remember, I don't know if you've heard this before, but they say it takes 10,000 hours to really be considered a professional at something. You're building towards that 10,000 hours. You're getting closer to your dreams every time you step on that stage. Is it going to be perfect? But again, no, probably not. But there's that word. I'm going to do a whole nother podcast on perfect. If you've been around me at all, I really do not like that word. It's going to get you closer to building yourself as a unique artist, your voice, what you want to say, building that passionate life and those dreams that you're going after, those goals, be determined that every time you step on the stage, you're getting one step closer to that. Be energetic. Strategic divestment of energy. My students have all heard this from me as well. You have to make sure that you have enough energy up there for the complete time that you're on stage, right? So guard your energy, protect your energy. Don't let anyone, including yourself, steal your energy by bringing negative thoughts and negative adjectives and no intention. Don't let yourself do that to you. You're worth more than that. These are the things that are really going to help you and empower you to building the future that you want, to becoming the artist that you want, to building the kind of singer that you want to be, and giving back to the world and giving back to humanity in the way that you want to do it. So I hope these things are helpful. Ask me any questions that you have about singing, or if there's something that wasn't clear, let me know. I would be happy to talk about any of these things because I want you all to have really great futures, and I want you to be self-confident and self-assured and be happy and be powerful and stand in the power that you have, that you all have.